This is a total body weight workout designed to support all phases of your cycle. So, this workout I've designed to be your easy workout win. So, it's for those days where maybe things didn't go as planned with your sleep, maybe your lunch meeting ran late, things get in the way of what you had planned. So, maybe you don't have the energy for a really intense strength session, but you're in the follicular phase. Maybe you're starting to experience some symptoms in the luteal phase. Maybe you're feeling that those mood disruptions, you don't really know why, but you know that you need some movement medicine. This is your easy workout win. So keep this one in your back pocket as a plan B, as your backup for when these different things get in the way, so that you can just remove those obstacles, still show up for yourself, still show up for your practice, and get a great workout. So in today's session, we're using just body weight movement patterns. We've got 9 different exercises that we'll move through for 45 seconds and then have 15 seconds to transition. This one is highly customizable because it's body weight only. So you get to determine how intense and how high the effort is. So what your exertion level is. I love this work for the luteal phase, especially where we're trying to tone it down. And I really want you to focus on kind of staying in the sweet spot that is appropriate for your cycle phase. It's a great one also to revisit in each phase so that you can feel the difference. You can feel like maybe sometimes in the luteal or menstrual phase, you can't do the kind of the most advanced version of the exercise because it jumps your heart rate too high. So you stay kind of in these other pathways so that you can keep the inner stress lower when we're less resilient. Likewise, maybe in the follicular and ovulatory phases, you're kind of pushing the envelope and trying to find ways to exert more in some of these different exercises. For this reason, because it is highly variable depending on which phase of the cycle you're in, I've included a movement tutorial where I will walk you through all of the progressions for each exercise. So kind of the very entry level point, kind of the stage 1, all the way to kind of the most advanced variation, the full expression of each exercise, so that you know how to choose what works for you. It's a separate video, something that you can watch before you're ready to work out, so that you kind of have a feel of what your options are before you even get started. I find that when we have that kind of in our toolbox before we hit the timer, we're more likely to take those options when we need them. So we have those 9 different exercises. You can move through 1, 2, or 3 rounds. What we're looking for today is just that workout win, just to show up and to move through the practice in whatever way suits you best. So if you have 9 minutes, you can do 1 round. If you want to do something closer to 20 minutes, you get 2 rounds. If you have 30 minutes to devote to your movement practice, then you're moving with me for the full 3 rounds. This one is gentle enough. It's all low impact body weight only. So there's not a separate warm up and cool down in the video itself. However, I will link to those elements, my favorite total body warm up and cool down, to support this practice. If you say are in the follicular and ovulatory phases and you want to push kind of that high intensity threshold for the full duration of the workout, please go ahead and use the warm up and cool down so that your body is ready and can recover better at the end. Otherwise, you're using the first 5 and last 5 minutes of this body weight movement as kind of your warm up and cool down. So just be mindful of that as you're moving through, that you might need to change the pace and the effort to support the warming and cooling process for your body. Also look for some guidance on your heart rate. So the sweet spots for each phase, you'll find those in the description below. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, I'll give you some cues to look for in your body and your breath so that you know when you're hitting these different thresholds, so that you can stay in the sweet spot. You can serve your body no matter which phase of the cycle you're in. So you can get this quick workout win, nice and easy, and show up for yourself. Now let's get started. Welcome to this total body easy win workout. This is one to keep in your back pocket for those days where it feels a little harder to show up, where you know you want something that's low impact and that's going to improve circulation and elevate your mood. I will say before this workout, if you are new to training or you're new to this type of body weight movement, please check out the movement tutorial where I will give you lots of entry points for very, very beginner stages through to the progressions for kind of the full expression of each exercise. So that is linked in the description of this video below. Make sure you check that out so you know what we're getting into before we start the timer, so you can just drop in and be present from start to finish. With that being said, I will get our timer started. We will begin in about 20 seconds. Our first movement pattern, pretty simple, is an overhead squat. What I'd like you to do is bring your feet to shoulder width apart so they're pretty close together. I want you to reach the arms overhead, interlace the fingers, and press the palms toward the sky. So you have this nice elevated chest. When we take the hands in this position, it helps us broaden across the chest. Lift the hip bones toward the low ribs and begin. We sit it back and lift up, down and up. So also in the description of this video, you will find some guidance on your heart rate zones, kind of where to keep the sweet spot for each phase of your cycle. So with body weight movement, it's really great for customizing the effort, customizing the exertion. Wherever you are in your cycle, I want you to take this first round, especially these first 5 minutes or so, as more of a warm-up. So we're moving nice and slow, just inviting the body into movement. Nothing too strenuous right out the gate. We've got just under 10 seconds here. And then we've got 15 seconds to transition in between. We're going to take the hands down, come into a bear plank position. So if you're brand new, you can start in your tabletop position, no sweat. Otherwise, you're letting the knees hover, shoulders are directly over the wrists, hips are over the knees. From here, we're going to walk the hands out to a plank, lower into a push-up, walk the hands back, bear plank, and then walk the feet out into our plank for push-up. So options here, you can be in that tabletop. You can take the knees down for the push-up, especially in this first round, to kind of warm the body up. So I'll be taking that option, kind of letting the chest do the work. It's really more of a warming round for the entire body. We've got 15 more seconds, maybe a little bit less. Walk it in. Make sure you're not bringing the knees too close to the body as you come into that bear plank, and rest. Slowly step the feet to the hands, nice and easy. Transition back up to standing. We're coming into our step out side lunge next. This one, we're going to take the hands behind the head. We move in 3, 2, and 1. We're stepping it out, sit back into the chair and back together. I want you to feel a wide enough step that you have a little bit of a stretch in the inseam of that extended leg, but it doesn't have to be a huge step. I also want you to keep pressing your head into your hands so you keep that chest nice and upright. Here we're moving out of that forward and back plane and exploring the sides. So I love this type of body weight movement where we can explore all ranges of motion, all planes, and our 7 primal movements. So those key actions. Here, a little bit of a squat since we're sitting back into that chair, and also a lunge. It's that side lunge action. Last one. Step together, shake it out. Next, we're coming into our hinge movement pattern with an airplane, and we're extending the arms out to the side into that reverse fly. You can also kickstand the foot if you don't want to take the leg all the way up. Let's begin. Reaching for that opposite foot. We open out to the side like you're spreading your wings, and then switch. This one will naturally be slower because it has that balance component. If it's too much to lift the leg back, maybe you're feeling that in your lower back, I want you just to create a kickstand with that back foot. So nice and easy here. This is our hinge movement pattern. So we're folding the body in half at the hip crease, letting the spine move together, up and down. I want you to keep the shoulders and the hips square, especially if you're taking that leg back. That back hip will want to pop open, but use that integration, hugging the inner thighs to the midline to keep them square. And that's it for that exercise. Next one is our TikTok lunge with a lat pull down. So here, we're going to start with the arms overhead. We step it forward, pull the elbows in and back. And then we come into our reverse lunge. Our interval starts now. We step it forward, together, and back. If this is too much, you can stay in more of a split squat, just move up and down, or you're traveling. You can even take out that extra step in the middle to make it a little bit more challenging, to find a little bit more balance work here. I do want you to keep the spine nice and straight the whole way, so not leaning forward, not leaning back, using the obliques and the side waist to stabilize. I also want you to create a little bit of focus for the upper body, so really hug those elbows into the sides, rest. Take note of the leg that was stationary. We're going to be switching sides, now traveling with the opposite leg. Same options are here for the tick-tock lunge motion, and then we're simply just adding a push. Let's begin. So we push, come up and push. Here, again, I want you to keep your shoulders over the hips. I really want you to stretch across the chest as you bring the elbows back, and then push like you were moving your arms through water as you come through that extension through the elbows. Takes a lot of balance here, so if you need to take out some of the complexity, by all means, please feel free to do so. You can stay in this split squat motion and just focus on that push instead. We've got just about 5 more seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out. Next exercise is our Kong vault and a crawl back. So here, we're going to be in a nice low squat. Keeping the heels down if you can. You can also elevate them, no problem there. I want you to keep your chest nice and upright. Reach out, hop the feet to the hands. You can have flat palms, and then we crawl back. Or you can have fit. You're hopping forward, staying nice and low, feeling that stretch in the inner thighs, the pelvis. Either be walking back to your crawl or adding that little bit of a hop. This one, more of a mobility movement pattern. Also step. If you want to take out the jump, I find the step to be a little bit more challenging because you're staying in that squat for more time. And rest. Slowly come up. Next up is our side lunge with a knee hug. So you'll come into your downward dog. That's my preferred starting point for entering side plank. And then you're simply going to roll the feet to one side. Here we go. Stack hips, stack shoulders, reach that top arm overhead, and then pull knee to elbow. So this is our pull key action. Come back through center, switch sides. Open side plank, pull the knee. So we're taking something, in this case the knee, from far away and bringing it closer to the center of the body. That is the nature of our pulling actions. I want you not to round the upper back, but instead really use those obliques, hip flexors to draw that knee closer to your body. Here we go. Let's get one more. Even things out. Excellent job. Come down now to your seat. I want you to keep your feet generous distance from your hips. All 10 toes, both feet are grounded down. Then I want you to lean back just enough where you can still keep the chest elevated. I want you to press the palms in and twist, twist. So here, chest is staying upright. We're not rounding in the back, but you've got that nice elevation and you're coiling the low belly in, pressing the top palm into the bottom palm to get a little deeper twist. This is our last exercise of this first round. Hopefully you're feeling nice and warm. And if it's appropriate for your cycle phase, you might be picking it up in terms of intensity and pace in the next round. I want you to keep your inner thighs hugging to the center here. So you really feel that integration and you're rotating from the trunk. And let's slowly come up to standing. So be mindful with that transition all the way up. Take a breath. We've got 5 seconds for our overhead squat. Once again, option here to press the palms overhead. Let's begin. I love this option because it helps kind of drop us into better alignment. If you start to feel like your chest is tipping forward, I want you to decrease your range of motion just a little bit so that you can keep that upright spine, that lifted chest. Drive through the heels as you come up. Make sure your knees aren't splaying out, that they're moving in parallel tracks, bending in alignment over the second and third toes. And then you're driving through those heels. I also like this one because it gives a little bit of a stretch for the shoulders, for the back. Be mindful of letting the low ribs puff out. Keep them drawing in. Stay integrated. And shake it out. Our traveling bear plank is next. So we're going to come down to the mat. Make sure you've got that solid position to start. So as you walk in, you don't want your knees to come past the hips. Let's get ready and travel. Here we go. Push up. Knees can be up or down. Come back to your bear plank and then walk it behind. Push up. Come back into bear plank, walk the hands out, and push up. So we're staying nice and smooth here. No need to move particularly fast through this push-up pattern. Really want you to feel that solid plank alignment as you come down all the way and then all the way back up so that you're not wiggling in and out of that push-up. Staying nice and strong. And rest. Again, we're taking it nice and slow as we come up all the way to standing. Our side lunge is next. So remember, we're bringing the hands behind the head here, starting in the center, stepping out in 2 and 1. We step out, sit back, and then zip the legs together. So that's where we really activate the inner thighs, is in the return to center, where we are hugging the legs, like magnetizing those legs to the center. Your legs know where they want to go. So they meet together in the middle and then step it out. Feel a little bit of that rhythm, a little bit of flow. Keep pressing your head into your hands. I love these different hand positions in our squats and lunges just to help kind of articulate that open chest, that upright spine. So we do whatever we can to help kind of remind ourselves of the mechanics of our form so that we can move more efficiently throughout. And rest. You got it. Up next is our airplane to reverse fly. So again, in that reverse fly, I really want you to squeeze the shoulders, the shoulder blades onto the back and focus on squaring hips and shoulders so we're not rotating. Here we go. Take it down, open, and back together. Bring it up, switch sides. Really want you to focus here on the alignment in the hips. Can you lift the hip crease of your standing leg and slightly drop the hip of your extended leg so that you have that nice even quality across the pelvis? Really want you to feel the shoulder blades pressing onto the back, lifting those beautiful wings out to the side. Feel the engagement in the glute, so you're not arching the lower back, but you're using that big, beautiful glute to lift your leg up. Last one. And shake it out. Our TikTok lunge with a lat pull is next. So again, you have your options of just staying in that split squat, adding the step in between, or turning it up by taking that step out altogether and coming into a bit of balance in between. Here again, don't lose the activation in the lat pull. So really pull those elbows behind you. Feel the lats activate. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed so your neck is long, not carrying any tension there, but focusing it more in the lats where we want it. We're here for 15 more seconds. Breathing, taking note of your exertion. So if you're in follicular and ovulatory phases, you can be past that intensity threshold, rest, where you're maybe having trouble getting more than one word sentences out, you're gasping for air, you're feeling that that extra effort in the lungs. If you're luteal phase and menstrual phase, we're taking it a bit more easy. Push now. Lunge and push. So in the luteal phase, you can be sort of brushing up against that high intensity threshold, but staying and hovering just below. Menstrual phase, I want you to be closer to 50% max effort the whole time. So you might be moving much, much slower than I am so that you can keep your breath under control. You might get to a point where you slightly have to modify your breathing, which is to say you start breathing through the mouth. But for the most part, free and easy breath in the menstrual phase. And rest, shake it out. Next up is that Kong vault with the crawl. So here are your options again. You can be on the fingertips, the hands, or peaceful fists. I want you to try and make soft landings as you move those feet. So heel to toe and crawl it back to your starting position. We go heel to toe. Feel all four corners of the feet. Participate here, and then we crawl back. The very primal movement. So we're moving through primal movement patterns today, and this is the one that we're using for our gait. So traveling, moving from one place to the other generally is more reserved for walking or running, but this kind of crawling action and rest. Slowly come up, shake it out for a moment, and then we'll come into our side plank. So in the second half of the cycle, we're moving in 3. You might experience, let's begin with that knee hug. You might experience kind of more dramatic changes in your blood pressure when you change positions. So you're more prone to becoming lightheaded or dizzy when we have lower blood plasma volume, which means there's less water in the blood. It's thicker. It takes the heart just that little bit of added effort to pump blood to our extremities. It can make us more sensitive to those blood pressure changes that come with changing body position. So nothing to fear or to be nervous about, just something to take into consideration when you're moving through different body positions, to give yourself maybe that little extra pause. Come down to a seat. Just give yourself that extra breath to transition. I like to do that in all phases, but especially in the second half of the cycle. Let's come into our position. Palms press firmly together. Chest is lifted. We twist and twist. I want you to imagine like you're trying to get your elbow to the outer edge of your thigh. Make sure your hips are not twisting. So pelvis and the pelvic bones stay pointing the same direction, and your knees are not swaying side to side. So you really have to push down through the feet. I like to lift the toes to anchor the ball mounds of the feet down. So you've got that stable base, and then that allows you to really articulate that rotation of the rib cage and spine. So as you may have guessed, this is our twisting action, our rotation component. One of the 7 primal movements, and rest. Here's where it comes into play. So we take our time, transition to our little ball pose, and then slowly come up as we get ready for that overhead squat. Bring your arms into position, feet are shoulder width, and begin. Squat it down. This is our 3rd and final round. So you can start to slow it down a little bit, use this as a cool down round, or you can wait till the latter half of this round, use the last 5 minutes or so as your cool down and stretch. This one is gentle enough that we don't necessarily need a dedicated warm up and cool down, but I'll still link my favorites, my favorite total body warm up and cool down in the description of the video. So if you want some extra cool down time, if you want to push all the way till the end, you can use those elements to serve your practice. We're here for 3, 2, and 1. Shake out those shoulders. Traveling bear plank is next. So we'll come into position. Knees under the hips, shoulders over the wrists. Let's begin in 2, 1. Walk it forward, push up, walk it back, unfold the legs, and push up. We walk it forward, unfold the arms. Make sure you're keeping that integration in the low belly, so not letting the low back arch. I want you to lift your hip points toward your low ribs, especially as you come up into that top position. Walk it forward. Really connect to the rhythm of your breath here. Keep those hips and shoulders in the same plane the entire way through, and step those feet up slowly. Walk it up to stand. We've got our final round of our step outside lunge. So again, you're bringing the hands behind the head here. Broaden those elbows apart, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Let's step it out, sit back, and zip the legs together. And zip it together. So this is our final round. You might be using this whole round as a cool down, or maybe you're pushing through all the way till the end, cooling down after your workout. Either way, find that solid form, that fluid movement here, side to side, exploring kind of a different range of motion, really being mindful of your knees as they come out to the side. Make sure they're aligned over the toes. So you've got the ankle and the knee pointing in the same direction. Last one. And shake it out. We've got our airplane to reverse fly next. So we come into position and get ready. I want you to really fix the position of shoulders and hips, so that orientation. We're just simply hinging the body. Here we go. So nothing happens in the shoulders and hips. They stay square the whole time. Again, you're keeping that spine integrated. So it's almost like a little bit of a tailbone curl under, not tucking the tailbone, but just that little bit of drawing of the pubic bone up toward the navel to help you activate the glutes, so that you're not relying on the hypermobile lumbar spine, so that really flexible lower back. We're not relying on that to lift the leg. We're using the glutes and the strength in our hips to make that happen. Again, not losing that strong activation in the back, across the shoulder blades, and rest. Next up is that tick-tock lunge with our lat pull down. So getting ready, make sure you have lots of room forward and back. We'll reach the arms up and let's get it. Step it forward, squeeze the elbows and back. Usually for me, it takes those first few reps to find the body balance. You can also be stepping the feet together in between. So there's sort of 3 levels of progression with this movement. You can be in the static lunge, or you can be in that step together, that's level 2, or you're taking that intermediate step out altogether, finding some balance in the center. Breathing here. Last 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out. That one's also a big draw for the heart rate. We're working both legs, both limbs, and so you might need to catch your breath a little bit more here. Let's get ready for that push. Here we go. Step it forward, push, and push. This one, again, it might take a few reps to get the rhythm, but just bring your hands back as you come through center and then push. I want you to feel how the shoulder blades close and then open. So we have that retraction and protraction of the shoulder blades. We've got the lengthening and shortening of the chest. So as you come through center, you feel the chest stretch, and then you squeeze the chest as you push. We've got 5 more seconds. Make sure you're not leaning into that push, but keeping the shoulders rest over the hips. Shake it out. Next up, that Kong vault to a crawl back. Again, this one doesn't really matter what it looks like necessarily. I just want you to cover some ground. So I want you to travel from one end of your mat to the other and then get back efficiently as possible. So whatever that looks like for you, you might be stepping back instead of the jump. Let this be sort of an instinctual movement. So we're not worried too much about form. Just move the way that your body is designed in the way that feels best. You might focus a little bit on keeping that chest elevated and your head up, kind of looking down, but we can look out ahead and rest. Slowly come up. That one you should feel a little bit of a burner in the quads. We've got our side plank next. So we'll start from downward dog. Nice broadening through the shoulders. And then we roll to the side, stack shoulders, stack hips, hug the knee in. Nice and slow. So I really want you to feel the mechanics of that pull, where your shoulders and hips are staying stable. They're not moving, but we're using that key action of pulling to the center. I want you to press down through your bottom hand, bottom foot to create that beautiful arc in the spine. Rotate and pull. You got this. We're here 10 more seconds. Pull it in and back. Let's even it out. And slowly come down to your seat. One more exercise. So we're lifting up through the chest, keeping that nice spacious quality across the collarbones. Press your palms into center and we twist, rotate, rotate. So take note of the position of your shoulders. I want you to look for rounding. I often see Russian twists sort of curled up into a little ball, but I want you to really expand through the chest, through the spine, so that you're really leveraging the strength in your trunk. You're getting that rotation. It requires that we refine it a little bit by pushing the feet down, hugging the inner thighs to the midline so that we have that stable base. And then we feel freer to rotate. You have more expression, more articulation in the rib cage. It can move independently from the pelvis. Last one. And rest. Slowly, nice and easy. I want you to transition. Maybe coming into your ball pose squat, and then hands to knees, kind of this hinge position. And then we slowly roll up bone by bone all the way to standing. Let's take a huge breath in and a slow breath out. That is it for your total body movement practice for today. I hope this one really just got you to move. So nothing too intense, nothing too overwhelming, but just enough to get your circulation and blood flowing and to help you tap into your body's natural source of joy, of pain relief, of soothing in endorphins. So we get some of that from this practice. So again, thank you so much for showing up, even when maybe you didn't feel like it, for being here and for letting your body be moved.